Have you ever questioned whether your life has a purpose much bigger than what the outside world has ever revealed to you, dear chosen one? There is a unique and holy frequency that only a select few can hear in a world full of voices, aspirations, and cacophony. It appeals to the unique rather than the masses. And it's no coincidence that you ended up here. It's because you vibe with that frequency. There is a chosen few among the billions who are not only gifted, but also anointed. These are not merely potential individuals. They are the most potent of the selected. Souls that possess the age-old codes of transformation, wisdom, and healing. Beings whose very existence adjusts the world's spiritual axis, raises consciousness, and changes energy. Fitting in is not why you are here. You are here to recall who you truly are, to lead, and to awaken. We'll look at 9 significant indicators today that show you are one of these most potent selected ones. These aren't wishful thinking or abstract concepts. They are heavenly fingerprints, indicators of a greater purpose that were imprinted in your spirit long before you were born. Every indication we unveil is a call to delve deeper, gain a clearer understanding of who you are, and fully embrace the holy identity you may have always felt, but never fully identified. Take a moment to think as you read. Are there instances in your life that you believe to be coincidences, echoed by these signs? Do they make you aware of things you've always known in your heart, but have never said aloud? If so, this is your affirmation, dear. The chosen one's road is not a simple one. It is frequently misinterpreted. There isn't much applause. It is jam-packed with assignments. But it is, without a doubt, the way of greatness, transcendence, and heavenly influence. Before we start, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to everyone who has contributed to our adventure by making a wonderful thanks donation. Know that your kindness and enthusiasm have contributed to the realization of these celestial messages. You're contributing to something that is touching people's hearts all across the world, not just giving money. Please take note of this, even if you decide not to donate. I sincerely appreciate your time, spirit, and presence. I encourage you to leave a remark below if you're prepared to genuinely acknowledge that you are a chosen one. It's more than simply a figure. It is a spiritual code of alignment, fulfillment, and exaltation that is activated by God. You're not merely responding when you enter 9-9. God's chosen one. You are on a path few dare to take, and even fewer are called to lead. You are announcing, I know who I am. I am ready to rise. Let us begin. Let the signs unfold, and let your spirit remember what it always knows. You are chosen. You are powerful. One of the reasons you are the most powerful of the chosen is that you have overcome incredible adversity. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, why me? Why does your life seem to be filled with more suffering, loss, and heartbreaking moments than those of those around you? What if I told you that it's not because you are cursed, but rather because you are chosen? Not just any chosen, but God's chosen one. You are one of the strongest of the chosen, and that strength is not given to you. Rather, it is forged by fire. The extraordinary adversities you have faced are not coincidental. Rather, they are divine appointments, sacred trials intended to awaken your spirit. Every betrayal, every moment of grief, and every time you sobbed in the dark, it was not to destroy you, but to reveal you. In the Bible, Job is a timeless testimony. He lost everything, including his wealth, health, and even his children. But he remained faithful. What happened next? The Lord blessed Job's later years more than his early ones, to strip away what the world believed you to be and reveal who God always knew you to be. Your suffering has a purpose. It's your spiritual boot camp. Just like Job, the weight you've carried was never meant to crush you. Rather, it was meant to reveal your unbreakable core, the core that God handcrafted himself. Reflect on your own story and recall the moment you reached your lowest point. B.S. found. His suffering wasn't the end of him. Rather, it was the proving ground that elevated him. It wasn't weakness. It was the mark of the chosen. Your survival wasn't luck. It was divine protection. Think about the life of Viktor Frankl, a famous psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. But even though everything you loved was disappearing, you managed to keep going. He lost everything in Auschwitz, including his name, family, and belongings. But he held fast to his purpose, despite the tragedy. He went on to write Man's Search for Meaning, which is considered to be one of the most significant works of our time. Millions of people sought healing as a result of his suffering. The Apostle Paul reminds us in Romans 5:3-4 that we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. Doesn't that ring familiar? Have your own wounds opened your eyes to something deeper? Your wounds are not an indication of failure. They are the seals of hope that have been obtained during adversity. They demonstrate that you are doing more than just getting by. He wept, was betrayed, suffered, and through that suffering, he redeemed the world. If our Savior wasn't spared pain, why would his chosen be? You are walking a sacred path that even the greatest had to walk. You are being prepared. Even Jesus, the Son of God, was a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Isaiah 53:3. Consider Bethany Hamilton, the professional surfer who lost her arm in a shark attack when she was just 13 years old. Despite losing her arm, she returned to surfing a month later and continued to compete professionally, inspiring millions with her unwavering faith in God and her perseverance. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, 8-9, Paul states, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." Her loss did not define her. Rather, it demonstrated her divine strength. Is there anything in your life that felt like a loss, but was actually an invitation from God to rise? You are not ordinary if those words apply to your life. You are a warrior in God's army, and warriors are made in the trenches. Tyler Perry, who was homeless and abused while living in his car, is a great example of someone who found his voice through hardships and persevered because of his faith. We transform suffering into strength. Keep in mind that James 1:12 states, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." You've been through the test. He's now one of the most powerful voices in entertainment, building studios, creating opportunities, and openly discussing the power of God in his life. What if your darkest nights were God's loudest whispers calling you into your destiny? What if everything you've gone through was because heaven knew just how much weight your soul could carry? The crown is coming. Now, let me ask you, what if your hardships weren't meant to be hidden, but rather highlighted? You, God's chosen one, have not suffered in vain. You are not just one of the chosen. You are one of the most powerful among them. Your life has been molded in the furnace of divine pressure so that you can rise as evidence of what heaven can accomplish through a soul that will not shatter. You have been brought low so that God can raise you high, not just for your own sake, but also so that others can follow your light. The second is getting deep spiritual insights. Have you ever had a moment when truth came to you, not from your intellect, but from a place deeper, sacred, and beyond your understanding? Has wisdom ever poured into your heart in such a way that you stopped dead in your tracks and said, "That wasn't me"? Your pain is the proof of this. There was more to that. If this is the case, dear chosen one, know that you are not imagining or experiencing hallucinations. Rather, you are receiving divine revelation, which is proof that you are among God's chosen who possess the greatest spiritual strength. These are not merely fleeting thoughts or educated guesses. Rather, they are spiritual downloads. When your mind is at rest, you may receive sacred whispers from the throne of heaven that are delivered straight into your soul. You may receive them while you are stirring your coffee, taking a stroll through the trees, or even in the early morning silence. And all of a sudden, the confusion and fog suddenly clear, not because you studied it, but because it was given to you. In John 14:26, Jesus said, "But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I said to you." This is the unmistakable mark of the divine, according to the Bible, and it is a sign of those who walk closely with God. Many of God's chosen receive these insights long before others around them comprehend them. Consider Daniel, the prophet in Babylon. Your chosen one are being taught not only by human mentors, but by the Holy Spirit himself. That's why the insights you carry seem to pierce through the noise of the world. God gave Daniel knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Daniel 1:17. Despite his youth, exile, and foreign ideologies, he received dreams and visions that even the wisest could not interpret, and he was given a position of power because he received what others could not see. Does that sound like something you've experienced in your life before? You've probably felt this when you gave a friend the exact words they needed, not knowing how you knew what to say, or when you made a decision that everyone questioned at the time, but turned out to be divinely timed. These are indications that you're not just on your own spiritual path, but also serving as a lighthouse for others. Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor, is a compelling real-life example of spiritual insight. Despite being misinterpreted, Tesla frequently stated, "My brain is only a receiver," and he claimed that many of his best ideas came to him in sudden bursts of clarity, as if they were downloads from a higher dimension. There is a core in the cosmos from which we draw inspiration, strength, and knowledge. Tesla was more than just intelligent. Like you, he was open to spiritual things. Paul states in 1 Corinthians 2:10, "But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit." When you are selected, your spirit is tuned to receive frequencies that others cannot hear. This is because the Spirit searches everything, including the deep things of God. Have you noticed how your spiritual insights often come not only for yourself, but also to uplift others. You become the voice of peace when someone close to you is in crisis, and you see the way clearly when confusion surrounds a group. That's why you frequently just know things, because you are being shown the deep things of God. God uses you to pass divine guidance into other people's lives. Why? Because chosen ones are not just seers of truth, they are bearers of it. Let's take a look at filmmaker Ava Juven, who had no formal film training early in her career, but described feeling a divine intuition guiding her through her creative process. Her historic film, Selma, brought untold stories to life in a way that resonated across generations, not because she followed a manual, but because she took advice and trusted it. Sensing guidance in areas you were not trained in has probably happened to you as well. Proverbs 20:27 states that, "The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly." When God wishes to disclose truth to your soul, the light that resides inside you, chosen one, flickers to life. That's why you have such keen intuition. It isn't a guess. The alignment is divine. This gift may have made you feel lonely at times, because people don't always see things the way you do. However, find solace in the fact that you are not alone. Despite being a recluse, Emily Dickinson produced some of the most profoundly deep poetry in history. Through her peaceful reflection and connection to nature, she frequently had insights when alone. In Jeremiah 33:3, God declares, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not." She once wrote, "The soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience, and yours, chosen one, has done just that." That's precisely what's taking place in your life. Through a supernatural connection, rather than lectures or textbooks, you are being shown things. You are accepting your divine assignment each time you act upon that knowledge and trust it. Now tell me, when was the last time you had a revelation that transformed your entire day, or possibly your entire life? Have you ever seen how, even when you don't want to say it, you are led to say precisely what someone needs to hear? Have you listened to the soft murmurs that guide you down avenues of influence and favor? You are not the only recipient of this gift. It's an indication of your purpose. In addition to being called to receive truth, you are also asked to live it, share it, walk in it, and lead others by it. In a world full of confusion, God has designated you as a divine receiver, a messenger of celestial wisdom. He has so validated your position as one of the most influential selected ones. Your soul is listening, your heart is in harmony, and your mind is open. You notice what others miss because of this. You feel what others disregard because of this. Heaven trusts you with its sacred teachings because of this. You are not simply walking in the light of revelation. You are a living example of revelation. 3. Control over one's own borders. Have you ever questioned why you react so strongly to the energy of some people? Why does your soul feel wide and at peace in certain settings while recoiling in others? Why, in contrast to so many others around you, do you feel the need to preserve your tranquility at all costs, even if it means avoiding people, routines, or chances that used to feel comfortable? Selected one. This isn't a coincidence. It is a divine marking and a spiritual signpost. Your mastery of personal boundaries is one of the most potent and obvious indicators that you are not only a chosen one, but also one of the most powerful among the chosen. You have mastered the sacred art of keeping your gates secure in a world that is hooked to noise, overexposure, and validation. Fear or pride are not the foundations of these limits. Wisdom is the foundation of them. You have an understanding that others do not yet possess. Your vitality is sacred. Additionally, anything that depletes it makes it harder for you to carry out your divine mission. You've chosen to be intentionally available, even if the world glamorizes unending accessibility. And that decision is groundbreaking. God provides us this timeless instruction in Proverbs 4:23. Protect your heart above everything else, since it is the source of everything you do. The chosen have a profound understanding of this scripture. The heart is more than just an emotional center, as you are aware. It serves as the source of your purpose. Your objective is obscured when your heart is overflowing with poison. However, you have clear eyesight when your limits are strong. It's also not always simple. It's likely that you've been misinterpreted. You might have been characterized as overly private, aloof, or chilly. People don't understand, though, that you're not rejecting them. God has given you a path, and you are honoring it. Like Jesus, who frequently retreated from the multitude to spend time with the Father alone. Luke 5:16. You realize that isolation is not the same as solitude. It's alignment. You're doing more than just keeping the peace. You're keeping your goal intact. The prophet Nehemiah comes to mind. He encountered derision, diversion, and sabotage when he was assigned to restore Jerusalem's walls. But he wouldn't be seduced. As he famously stated in Nehemiah 6:3, "I'm doing a great work, and I cannot come down." It's the vitality you possess. You understand that your purpose is too significant to take on every request, resolve every issue, or justify every choice you make. Not everyone gets to sit in the front row of something important that you're developing. This divine border instinct was shared by many of the most influential people in the world. For example, Beyoncé Knowles. She is renowned for keeping strict control over her personal life, interviews, and image while being in the spotlight all the time. She is skilled at spiritual preservation, not because she is concealing anything. She once remarked, "You don't need someone to tell you who you are. You are the one who determines your own value." That's precisely what occurs when we honor our inner truth, isn't it? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Paul exhorts us in Romans 12:2. How can one renew their mind in a world full of noise? You set limits on your time, your connections, and your thoughts. Distractions no longer have a place in your soul. You enter a state of change by doing this. You've chosen one and come to the realization that time is more than just a calendar. Object. Every yes you give to something undeserving is a no to your higher purpose, according to this covenant. You now act with judgment rather than just kindness as a result. You now know how to tell what is in line with your soul from what just feels wonderful. Does this sound like you? You used to accept every invitation, every get-together, and every seemingly good chance. You pause now, though. You offer up prayers. That's not hesitation. You question yourself. Does this bring me closer to my mission, or does it distract me from it? Elevation is that. Spiritual development is that. Take the actor Keanu Reeves, who is renowned for his gentle nature and humility. In a field where boundaries are frequently blurred, Keanu is infamous for having distinct personal boundaries. He selects his roles and relationships carefully, stays away from drama, and leads a humble life despite his stardom. People appreciate him more because of his ability to maintain his sense of groundedness in the face of international recognition, which is a reflection of strong internal boundaries. This spiritual position is expressed in Isaiah 30:15. Your strength will lie in silence and faith. The world teaches that being visible, loud, and always available is the key to power. The chosen ones, however, are aware that your greatest strength frequently lies in saying no to things that don't serve your soul, in stillness and in sacred solitude. Additionally, you have learned to be selective with your energy, whereas others may pursue every connection. It's because you've finally recognized your value, not because you believe you're better. Everything no longer has access to you just because it requests you. Only things that fit your heavenly pattern can now access you. Let's examine yet more potent illustration. The WNBA great Maya Moore left basketball at the height of her career to fight for justice, not because she was hurt or famous. She assisted in the release of an innocent guy from prison by using her position. Boundaries were necessary for that choice. Limits on her time, her reputation, and even the expectations of her admirers. However, it also made her purpose clear. Your actual objective becomes evident once you have mastered your boundaries. Philippians 1:10 discusses this degree of precision. In order to remain truthful and free from offense until the day of Christ, you must be able to approve things that are great. You become a conduit for excellence when you learn to master boundaries. You're not always switching between pointless diversions. You are on a divinely intended path. Let's face it, though, things haven't always been this way. Didn't you have to learn the hard way? You had to endure treachery, exhaustion, and a breach in trust. To those who didn't respect your spirit, you had to give too much too quickly. However, that suffering wasn't in vain. It was a training session. You no longer allow guilt to dictate your timetable. You allowed God to compose it. Consider this selected one. How often has the Holy Spirit encouraged you to turn down a discussion, an offer, or a relationship, not because it was bad, but because it wasn't yours to bear? How many times did your peace of mind alert you before your reasoning did? Spiritual discernment is that gift, and it flourishes in a person that respects its limits. Not because you encounter every storm, but rather because you remain steadfast in your convictions and allow your light to lead people through their own turmoil. You have become a lighthouse. Your limits are not barriers to being rejected. They are reflective walls. People look to you for what they can't find in themselves: peace, alignment, and discipline. Others are now taking note of your example. You've turned into a blueprint, whether you like it or not. Those who used to make fun of your silence now long for it. Those who used to doubt your remoteness now respect your clarity. That is the boundary paradox. You end up blessing everyone around you when you honor yourself. You don't have cold borders. They have empathy. They safeguard your vocation. They cultivate your talents. They make your voice louder. Above all, they give thanks to the God who sent you on this mission. What are you unavailable for now? To rise Have you had to release someone you love? In order to finally hear your own spirit again, what noise have you silenced? Your chosen one has experienced the crucible of spiritual diversion, overcommitment, and emotional entanglement. And you have come out clear. Your boundaries aren't just responses anymore. They are discoveries. And you are announcing to the world that you are aware of who you are with each act of spiritual self-respect. I am aware of what I am carrying, and I am aware of my purpose. 4. Flourishing in isolation, matured and complete. Have you ever been able to find a smile in the silence? When everyone else isn't around, have you ever felt more connected, alive, and spiritually awake? If so, you are walking in one of the most holy and uncommon indications of divine calling. Beloved chosen one, you're flourishing alone. Not just getting through it, but flourishing, developing, becoming, and waking up in the quiet where most people feel empty. Nowadays, loneliness is dreaded like a sickness. To escape the dreadful sound of their own thoughts, people occupy every moment with noise, music, browsing, talking, notifications, and anything else. However, you made a different choice. God is waiting for you in the solitude that you have entered. This wasn't always comfortable, to be honest. Sometimes being by yourself makes you feel abandoned, neglected, or even unloved. Even, why do I always end up alone? Might have crossed your mind. But what if I told you that loneliness was never a punishment? You were protected by it. Take a moment to process that. God wanted to communicate with you in a way that the world would never comprehend, so He was drawing you apart. He started molding you in the hallowed silence, not for show, but for a reason. An effective illustration of this can be found in Exodus 33:7. Known as the tent of meeting, Moses would set up a tent outside the camp at a considerable distance. Anybody who wanted to ask questions of the Lord would go to the meeting tent outside the camp. In the midst of the chaos, Moses failed to hear God. He met Him in a solitary spot outside the camp, and it was there that he was given instructions that would alter a country's course. Does your life seem to have been dragged out of the camp, away from the distractions, the drama, and the crowds? Maybe you are being chosen to receive instructions from the King of Kings, just like Moses was. Let's investigate further. How often have you thought that no one could relate to you? That your beliefs, ideals, and even feelings were too dissimilar to communicate? And it's no accident. That is the development of discernment. God has given you a special inner voice that can only be heard in silence. You're not strange. Wisdom is hardwired into you. Could you recall the last time you felt truly at peace? You were where? With whom were you? Alternatively, who wasn't? Didn't the fog clear and things begin to make sense during those holy, solitary moments? This retreating pace was modeled by Jesus Himself. He went up on a mountainside by Himself to pray after He had dismissed them. Matthew 14:23 states, "The Son of God purposefully separated Himself later that night, not because He didn't love people, but because He loved His Father's presence more. And in those moments, He was rejuvenated, refocused, and reminded of His mission. You, chosen one, are doing the same. Your silence is rebellion in a culture that worships noise. Let's think about someone like Virginia Woolf, the literary genius who fought for the right to one's own room, who recognize that solitude and space are necessary for creativity and spiritual self-realization. In a society that is fixated on visibility, being hidden is a holy act. The world may never understand it, but heaven celebrates it. Psalm 91 demonstrates the power of this sacred withdrawal. Her legacy endures because she withdrew, not to disappear, but to discover. What have you learned in your solitude? Have your deepest thoughts, your most sincere prayers, and your sharpest discernment come when the world was asleep and you were still awake listening? You don't just visit solitude, you live there, and as a result, you are covered in favor, covered in clarity, and covered in protection. Let's face it, you've probably experienced times when you felt totally alone, perhaps even abandoned. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. But now that you look back, don't you see those times as the precise times that God worked the deepest in you? When your family couldn't reach you and your friends couldn't understand you, God was there, speaking truth into your identity. What's amazing is that your loneliness didn't make you selfish. Rather, it made you self-aware. It humbled you. What have you created in private that no one is aware of yet? What skills have you acquired? What wounds have you healed? What vision has God placed within you while the world thought you were doing nothing? Those who thrive in solitude tend to be the most transformative voices when they do speak. It did not isolate you. Rather, it illuminated you. Here's another compelling example. Reuben works from a place of deep spiritual solitude, meditation, barefoot walking in the woods, and embracing stillness as the source of creativity. You're not silent because you have nothing to say. Rather, you're silent because what you have to say carries weight. Rick Rubin is a legendary music producer who has shaped the sound of generations. Isaiah 30:15 provides this profound truth. Isn't that exactly what people are starting to notice about you? Your solitude has become your sanctuary. Your stillness has become your strength. And people are beginning to feel it, even if they can't explain it. Artists seek him out, not just for his technical skills, but for his presence. The most famous spiritual leaders in history all had one thing in common. They loved solitude. Let's talk about legacy. Your soul isn't searching for a stage. It's listening for strategy. And that strategy is born in your solitude. You will be saved by returning and resting. Your strength will come from quietness and confidence. What conversations are you having in your solitude that will eventually become movements? What whispers are you hearing that will one day reverberate through generations? What if your solitude was never about isolation, but preparation? What if it's the cocoon God is using to transform you into something glorious? And most importantly, are you speaking with God? Mother Teresa spent hours in prayer every morning before facing the streets of Kolkata. Her strength came from divine conversation, not from human applause. Are you prepared to stop defending it? Because, chosen one, you were created to be this way, and the results of your solitude are already evident. Your serenity in the midst of chaos, your wisdom in bewilderment, and your joy without continual stimulation. You don't need to defend your boundaries, explain why you need time alone, or apologize for your sacred stillness. You are chosen to walk closely with the one who created the stars. So keep your solitude safe. Protect it like a holy garden, and never forget that you are not alone. People are beginning to notice that there is something different about you, and that something is the mark of someone who has spent time with God privately. 5. Have you ever looked around and felt, deep down, that you're here for something more? That you're not just here, but that you're sent? That your presence on this earth is not a coincidence, but a calling? If you feel this strong pull, an unwavering sense that your life has divine direction, then you're hearing this clearly. Your unwavering sense of mission and purpose, which isn't ambition, not about aiming for fame, status, or material success, but rather purpose in its purest form, is one of the greatest indicators that you are one of God's most powerfully chosen ones. It's the kind of purpose that whispers in your heart even when no one else believes in you. In contrast to the rest of the world, which frequently veers aimlessly from trend to trend, you've always felt that you were guided. You're not wandering. You're walking purposefully in step with a divine assignment. It's the fire that remains burning inside you, even on your darkest days. It's the compass you return to when everything else falls apart. Jeremiah 15 affirms that God planted that clarity in your soul before you were even born. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. It's not something you learned in school or something someone gave you. You can't work a job that feels meaningless, and you can't stay in relationships that stifle your calling. This divine sense of mission manifests itself in everything you do. Can you feel the weight of that verse? Your mission was written before you took your first breath, and it's waking up in you louder and clearer than ever before. How many times have you turned down something that seemed safe, comfortable, or reasonable because you knew deep down that it wasn't aligned? That's not irresponsibility. That's obedience. You can't ignore the pull toward purpose because your soul is unwilling to compromise, not because you're trying to be difficult. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Paul writes in Romans 8:28. Yes, it comes at a cost. There have been sacrifices, missed opportunities, delayed rewards, and painful separations. But you've persevered because purpose isn't a preference for you. Let's look at someone who exemplifies this. Chadwick Boseman, best known as the iconic Black Panther, was more than just an actor. You felt that calling, and even when life has tried to divert you from the mission, you always find your way back to it. That's not random. It's God's hand on your life. His legacy wasn't built on ease. He was a man on a mission who continued to work, mentor young people, and speak life despite secretly battling terminal cancer. He once said, "Sometimes you need to feel the pain and sting of defeat to activate the real passion and purpose that God predestined inside of you." Whether you create, teach, build, lead, or heal, your work has a ripple effect that touches souls far beyond what you can see. It was founded on obedience to purpose, and so is yours. You have been given direction, which is something that most people search for their entire lives. The answers to those questions are clues to your mission. And here's something powerful. You don't need the approval of others to walk in your purpose. What wakes you up in the morning, even when you're exhausted? What idea won't go away, no matter how long you try to silence it? What injustice makes your blood boil? What beauty makes you cry? In John 4:34, Jesus states, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work." Chosen one, that's your nourishment too. You're not fueled by applause, but you're fueled by obedience. You may not always know the whole picture, but you know the direction. That's enough. Jesus didn't wait for the Pharisees to support his calling. Let's look at another real-life example. Jane Goodall. From an early age, she knew she was called to live among animals in order to study, observe, and speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves. Faith doesn't require a 5-year plan. It requires a yes. And each time you say yes to your mission, you're not just honoring yourself, but you're aligning with the entire spiritual ecosystem of heaven. Choosing one, your mission, whether public or private, is already making a difference. You are a lighthouse in a world full of fog. Her work with chimpanzees was not just science, it was service. She once remarked, "What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." Your faith in your calling may seem strange to others, but it will shelter many in the storms to come. Noah built the ark without any rain in sight, and while people laughed, questioned, and ridiculed him, his obedience saved generations. That's the mark of the chosen. You carry your vision even when others cannot see it. We should consider 2 Timothy 1:9, which states, "He has saved us and called us to a holy life, not because of anything we have done, but because of his own purpose and grace." Another example is Brandon Stanton, the creator of Humans of New York, who was called not because he was perfect, but rather because God saw in him what others missed, and he is now fully, visibly, and powerfully activating that calling. I'll ask you again, chosen one, what would you still do if no one applauded? What do you feel called to build, even if it takes years? What vision has God placed in your heart that keeps coming back no matter how many times? What started as a passion project, photographing and interviewing strangers on the street, became a worldwide phenomenon because he followed the quiet nudge of purpose, because he listened. That's what you're doing too. You've attempted to leave? This is about divine destiny, not just a job, career, or pastime. You sense it, don't you? Every aspect of your being begs for alignment, impact, and meaning. You're willing to give up comfort for the sake of your calling. You're willing to let go of the ordinary in order to make room for the eternal. Proverbs 19:21 states, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." You've already lost people, places, and privileges along the way, yet you're still standing, and that alone is evidence of your mission. Let's wrap this up with one last verse. You are still going forward because God's plan for you cannot be halted, regardless of the obstacles you have encountered or the number of doors that have closed. Your life is not random, chosen one. Imagination is not your sense of mission. It is proof from God. You are bearing something that the world is in dire need of, and heaven has already commissioned you, whether they realize it or not. Enter your assignment now. When God tells to speak, speak. Construct what God commands you to construct. Additionally, you should never ever apologize for the rage that consumes your bones. It's not excessive, just enough to make a difference. 6. Having vivid dreams and images. Have you ever had a dream so vivid that it seemed more real than your real life, and woken up in the middle of the night with your heart pounding? Have you ever had a dream that felt like a message from your soul? A warning, a message, a glimpse of something much bigger than your current situation? This isn't imagination, if you've picked one. This isn't a coincidence. One of the most profound and ethereal indications of your divine purpose is happening to you right now. You fantasize of the secrets of heaven. Vibrant visions and prophetic dreams are frequently bestowed onto God's most powerful chosen ones, not as ornamentation, but as heavenly guidance. These encounters are not arbitrary. Because your spirit is awake, these are spiritual downloads from higher realms that are given while the world is asleep. Scripture explains the enigma of dreams in Job 33:14-16. Even though no one can see it, God does speak in different ways at different times. He may speak in people's ears and frighten them with warnings during a dream or night vision when they are sound asleep in their beds. Yes, chosen one, God is communicating with you through the holy symbols of your sleep, as well as through indications in your day. I'm sure you've noticed it too. Your aspirations differ from those of others. These aren't only haphazard fragments of everyday life. Yours, on the other hand, are full of profound spiritual truths, meanings, and symbolism. There are moments when you wake up and realize that something has changed. Ever experienced a dream that foretold an event before it occurred? A vision that revealed the genuine motives of someone to you? Something in your soul that turned out to be accurate? It isn't paranoid. Prophecy is what that is. Take Joseph the dreamer's narrative, for example. According to Genesis 37:5, Joseph had a dream, and his brothers became even more hostile toward him once he shared it with them. Why? Because Joseph was receiving revelations from God, even as a young guy. Not only did his dreams predict his own fate, they devised a strategy to rescue a whole country. He was vilified, misinterpreted, cast into a pit, and put in jail. Ultimately, however, his hopes were realized. Yours will too. You might have recognized yourself in future planets, old roles, or other incarnations. You have aspirations of becoming a guide, a leader, or a healer. These aren't just fantasy dreams. They are shards of timeless wisdom stored in your spiritual DNA, soul memories. In order for you to comprehend who you are becoming, God is reminding you of who you have been. Have you ever had the impression that you have lived more than one life, that you are wiser than your years, that your skills and expertise stem from something far older than the modern world? It's because your soul is really old. It's confirmed by your visions. Let's consider the life of visionary and inventor Nikola Tesla. Tesla often described vivid mental visions and flashes of light as ways of obtaining information. He once remarked, "My brain is just a receiver. There is a core in the cosmos from which we draw inspiration, strength, and knowledge." In his fantasies, he would frequently draw complete machines that were complete and operational. He wasn't having hallucinations. They were discoveries. He selected one of the worlds he walked between, just like you. You've always had sacred dreams. You probably seen things as a child that others did not. It's possible that your creative imagination led to your dismissal or even mockery. You're starting to realize, though, that you never imagined. You were recalling. It was foretold in Acts 21:17. "I will pour out my spirit on all people in the end days," God declares. "Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. and your old men will dream dreams. You are living in those days. If you haven't already, start keeping a dream journal. You'll be amazed at how many of your dreams start to speak directly to what's coming in your life. You are receiving what heaven is releasing. Do you write down your dreams, chosen one? Do you wake up and sense a divine code embedded in the colors, people, places, or symbols? Another compelling real-life example is Harriet Tubman, who led hundreds of enslaved people to freedom via the Underground Railroad and is referred to as the Moses of her time. However, it is often forgotten that Tubman had prophetic dreams and visions, describing receiving divine guidance while she slept. Visions that guided her path, alerted her to danger, and assisted her in navigating dangerous terrain. Because she listened to her visions, she was able to guide people safely through the night without the use of maps or modern tools. If you occasionally have frightening dreams or see things that others might consider odd or even unbelievable, it's because you're not just connected to the timeline. You're walking through spiritual dimensions. The images you may have seen in your dreams, fire, storms, rising water, people approaching or leaving, are not arbitrary. They are coded messages. Fire may symbolize purification, while water may symbolize emotional awakening. Your dream life is a sacred conversation between your soul and your Creator. Your dreams are the echoes of a higher truth. Daniel 2:19 states, Daniel had a vision throughout the night that disclosed the riddle. Daniel then gave thanks to the heavenly God. You are getting puzzles in the night, much like Daniel. You are being called, like him, to interpret things for other people as well as for yourself. Have you ever told someone a dream that helped them feel better, get insight, or find healing? Have you ever been given advice while you were asleep for someone else? You are more than simply a dreamer, which is why you are a link between heaven and earth, a seer. Let's discuss the surrealist painter, Salvador Dali. Dali drew inspiration from the divine through his visions. His dream state was dubbed his gateway into the invisible. Despite appearing strange to some, his works contained profound spiritual meaning that impacted many generations of artists and intellectuals. Like yours, Dali's ideal life was his temple. What have your dreams been trying to tell you, chosen one? Have you seen something that you've been too scared to accept? What recurring patterns are pleading with you to take notice? Have you observed that your dreams are more intense, frequent, and vivid as your spiritual life grows? Your soul is awakened, which is why you are being groomed for a prophetic life, not a normal one. And here's a crucial point. Not every dream is cozy. Painful pictures or nightmares have led to some of your most profound insights. However, there is a purpose even in those. God frequently uses disturbance to communicate. He demonstrates for us what has to be confronted, what needs to be healed, and what needs to be given up. Therefore, don't be afraid of dreams. Accept them. Seek the interpretation of God. Before you go to bed, say a prayer. Let the Spirit of God speak. After you get up, write down what you observed. Because you are dreaming for more than just yourself, chosen one. You have aspirations for future generations. I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel, says Psalm 16:7. Yes, your soul never sleeps. Thus your heart is teaching you even while the world is asleep. My heart also teaches me during the night. And all of these dreams will make sense eventually. You will realize that each message, symbol, and vision was a piece of the divine puzzle that was precisely matched to the purpose God had for your life. Time does not limit you. The content does not limit you. You are a moving soul that transcends time, connects worlds, and bears light. Thus, keep this in mind while you rest your head on your pillow tonight. You won't simply go to sleep. The throne room is just around the corner. 7. The ability to change and sway other people. Have you ever entered a room and, without uttering a word, sensed a change in the atmosphere? Have you told someone the truth when they were doubting themselves and then saw their entire life start to change for the better? Have you given a single word, glance, or gesture and seen it result in healing, clarity, or even peace? If so, you possess something precious, the divine ability to change and impact people. You didn't learn this by training or by force. It has nothing to do with popularity, charisma, or performance. No, it's deeper than that. It's spiritual. This is a person who has been marked by heaven and is being anointed. People are drawn to you because of something sacred in your presence, not because you're flawless. You may not even be aware of how much of an impact you have, but you have been put here to be a change agent, and things change when you arrive. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be concealed." That's you. Your light isn't your typical light. God put it inside of you. Consider how many people have told you, "You helped me more than you'll ever know," and how it cannot extinguish what He has kindled in you, no matter how black the world grows. Or simply being in your presence helped me feel better. How many times have you given advice without realizing that what you were saying was exactly what someone needed to hear? Chosen one, this isn't a coincidence. It's your calling. Consider Proverbs 18:21. Your influence is deep, not loud. It speaks to people's souls, frequently without the need for persuasion. Your very presence reminds them of their potential. Your energy makes room for healing, and your words have weight because they are rooted in something greater than human wisdom. You are a walking declaration of what is possible when one lives in divine alignment. But let's face it, this gift hasn't always been easy to carry. Your words are not casual. When you speak, things move, bondages break, hope rises, and chains fall. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. People have misinterpreted you, threatened those who are still hiding from their own light, had friends turn against you, and you have been falsely judged. Why? Because when the chosen walk in truth, it reveals everything that is false around them. However, your influence persisted even when people rejected you, because God is the source of your power, not other people. Jesus reminds his disciples in John 15:16, "I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, but you did not choose me." Fruit that endures. Your influence produces fruit that endures. Let's talk about real life. Brandon Stanton, the founder of Humans of New York, didn't start with a big platform or fame. He just started telling people stories one by one. Despite this, he has changed lives by using simple photographs and vulnerable conversations to raise millions for those in need and give dignity to those the world ignores. Even years later, Someone will remember what you said, how you made them feel, and how your presence gave them the courage to move forward. You are a bridge between heaven and human hearts too. People feel seen when they are around you, safe and called higher, not by coercion, but by your example. Do you recall the last time someone said, "Because of you, I didn't give up"? Do you realize how uncommon and potent that is? You unlock potential in others by reminding them of who they already are in God's eyes, not by fixing them. Your presence sets the tone. Your words carry energy, and your silence carries weight. You see them, and by doing so, you help them see themselves. But that comes with responsibility. You can't just say anything. You can't go through the world mindlessly. You're not like everyone else, and you were chosen to carry influence with integrity. In Esther 4:14, Mori reminds Esther, the queen who saved a nation, that her position of authority was based on purpose rather than status. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom at such a time as this? You're not here by accident, chosen one. Have you thought about how strategically important your presence and influence are in this generation? As an example, Ke Huy Quan, the actor who was forgotten by Hollywood after his childhood fame, re-emerged with profound humility and power in everything, everywhere, at once. You have been placed in your family, your city, your community, and your career for such a time as this, because there are people assigned to your light. How many times have your quiet decisions spoken louder than any sermon? Perhaps you showed someone kindness when they expected judgment. Perhaps you forgave someone who hurt you, and it changed them. His story of recovery, tenacity, and soft-spoken strength inspired countless others to reclaim their dreams. Romans 12:2 states, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and your life is the proof." Your refusal to conform and your decision to live differently are what enable others to think differently. Perhaps you persevered when everyone thought you would break, and that inspired someone else to rise. Not only does Misty Copeland tear down barriers, but she redefined them. What's even more amazing is that her very existence now creates opportunities for others. Misty Copeland is the first African-American woman principal dancer with the American Ballet Theatre. She influences not only with movement, but also with meaning, and that's precisely what you do. So, you've chosen someone who has been transformed just by your presence, who found their voice because you spoke, who believed in their vision because you believed in yours, and who never saw themselves represented before, but now believes it's possible because of her. This is your gift, but it's also your mission. Influence is not about control, but about activation. You help others access what was already inside them, but was concealed by pain, shame, or fear. You may never fully understand the impact you've made, but heaven keeps track. The ripple effect of your light is echoing far beyond what your eyes can see, and the divine speaks through your presence. Paul states in 2 Corinthians 3:18, "And we all are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord." In other words, your influence changes others because the one who resides within you is changing you. Now pause and think about that. You must remain spiritually grounded because your light is not for ego, but for elevation. God is using your life to lift others, and you may have wondered why so many people come to you for guidance. Are you making the most of this gift? Do you know how your energy moves rooms, how your smile heals, how your courage frees others. Your soul carries the resonance of healing, truth, and God's presence, which is why even strangers open their hearts to you, and why others rely on you in their darkest moments. However, this does not mean that you must be flawless. Rather, influence requires faithfulness. Therefore, continue to show up, love with discernment, speak with intention, and listen with compassion, because those around you are not just observing you, they are also learning from you. Your life is a message. Your choices are sermons. And when you speak with the Spirit, you have the power to change people's destinies. You are not only pursuing your own path, you are paving the way for others. And that chosen one is one of the clearest indications that God has selected you for something much bigger than yourself. 8 synchronicities and alignments. Have you ever had the impression that the universe was speaking to you directly? Not in loud declarations, but in whispers of magic that were subtle and magical. Have you ever thought of someone and then seconds later received a message from them? Have you ever come across a book, a quote, or the words of a stranger that seemed to answer a question you were just struggling with the previous evening? If this occurs frequently, it is not a coincidence. For you, life is not merely a series of chance events. Rather, it is a tapestry of deliberate moments woven together by God's hand. These synchronicities are not coincidental. Rather, they are heaven's subdued way of telling you, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Synchronicity is one of the most divine indicators that you are walking in perfect alignment with a higher purpose. As Psalm 37:23 tells us, a good man delights in his way, and the Lord orders his steps. Everything that appears too ideal, too well-timed, or too significant is planned. It's not a stroke of luck. It's God's way of directing His chosen one. Have you begun to notice reoccurring words, numbers, patterns, dreams, or chance meetings? These are all confirmations. The cosmos starts reflecting your alignment when you're in alignment. Like breadcrumbs, it scatters messages along your path to help you reach your goal. Let's examine a writer such as Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist. He frequently discusses the universe's enigmatic language and how life starts to speak to people who are living in integrity. It wasn't a poetic theory when he once said, "When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it." It was something he had personally experienced. Following a sequence of indications that encouraged him to follow the purpose of his soul, he composed The Alchemist. He followed the hints, just like you did. When was the last time you had doubts about something, and a message reached you at that very moment? A verse appeared. Something significant was uttered by a complete stranger. Unexpectedly, a video with words that seemed like a direct response from heaven began to play. It's no accident. The choreography is beautiful. These synchronicities are the Spirit's language, guiding you ahead, validating your choices, and fortifying your path. As Romans 8:14 states, "For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God." These indicators show that you're not alone, even if you feel that way. Let's look at Iyanla Vanzant, Oprah Winfrey's protege, as an example of how they are God's way of whispering, "Keep going, my child. I am with you." She started to recognize synchronicity, callings, symbolism, and moments of divine clarity after experiencing profound personal loss and spiritual struggle. Her journey was changed by those few clues, and she went on to become one of the world's most influential spiritual speakers. Her authority stemmed from her alignment, Selected one. Your ability to pay attention while you walk is equally as powerful as simply following the road. Signs increase with your level of awareness. When you start listening, it's as though heaven dials up the volume. How frequently have you seen numbers like 777 or 111, 33, 33 repeated? How many times in a single day have you encountered the same message from many sources? After such an alignment, as though God had just validated your next move, have you experienced that inner calm? Your ears shall hear a message behind you saying, "This is the road," according to Isaiah 30:21. Step inside it. That voice is not always audible. Sometimes it manifests as a synchronicity that awakens something deep inside. Let's take another potent example. Ava DuVernay, the director of Selma and When They See Us, frequently talks about how her calling was confirmed by moments of alignment rather than by fame or opportunity. The question then becomes, are you noticing the signs? Are you trusting them? Synchronicities aren't just signs of timing, they're signs of trust. She once described how a message from a stranger on a bus completely redirected her mindset during a moment of doubt. That one alignment changed the course of her career. According to Philippians 1:6, being confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. When you walk with God, life starts to speak back to you. Creation becomes a mirror, and miracles become normal. These signs are evidence that God is still guiding you, and that the work is still ongoing. Pay attention, chosen one. The signs are not random. They are revelation, divine road signs on your sacred journey. 9. A deep connection with the divine. You are walking by faith, not blindly hoping, and the universe is echoing God's confirmation at every turn. Have you ever sat in silence and felt a sense of an unfathomable peace? Have you ever cried not because you were sad, but because God's presence touched you in a way that words could never describe? If so, you have experienced what few people can fully comprehend: a deep, personal connection with God that isn't sporadic. Psalm 42:1 perfectly expresses this desire. Just as the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. It is constant, daily, breath by breath, and it is the basis of who you are and how you move in the world. It is not reliant on a church building, a spiritual retreat, or an emotional song. You are unique because you don't just believe in God. You walk with Him. You hear His voice. You sense His presence. You trust His timing. And you follow His lead, even when it doesn't make sense to others. Your soul longs for God, not out of obligation, but out of recognition. You were made for communion, and your heart knows where home is. It's what gives you the strength to leave behind what no longer serves you and move toward what the world cannot yet see. Let's take a look at someone like Fred Rogers, also known as Mr. Rogers. His quiet demeanor, his revolutionary kindness, and his gentle manner all stemmed from a profound spiritual life. Your chosen one is doing the same. Your words heal not because you are eloquent, but because they carry the tone of heaven. He studied theology, never separated his creative work from his divine calling, and prayed every day for the children who watched his show. His connection to God was his compass, and it changed generations. according to 1 Corinthians 2:16. But we have the mind of Christ. This connection rewires your thinking, replacing fear with discernment, control with trust, and striving with surrender. Your decisions bless others not because they are strategic, but because they are spiritual. And in this connection, you have found rest, not passivity, not laziness, but a divine stillness that says, I don't have to know everything because I'm walking with the one who does. How many times have you been forewarned just in time by your intuition? How many times have you known things that you couldn't have known, but that ended up being true? How many times have you prayed and then found your strength restored moments later? That is divine intimacy. Let's look at Malala Yousafzai, who risked her life to speak truth from a young age. When people ask her how she stays fearless, she always answers that it's because she has a strong relationship with God, which gave her the courage to speak when it was safer to remain silent. Ephesians 3:16-17 states, I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being. You have also stood in times of pressure and refused to fold because your connection was stronger than your fear. That your faith will allow Christ to reside in your hearts. That indwelling presence is the source of your strength, wisdom, and light. Furthermore, it's not merely a personal boon. It's a case in point. People have diverse feelings when they look at you. They sense it, even if they don't have the words. The storm is calmed by your energy. Peace is in your eyes. Chains are broken by your presence. Let's honor the spiritual writer Henry Nan, who gave up his academic career to work with a group of individuals who have mental illnesses. Divine intimacy permeates his writings. His vulnerability, honesty, and simplicity served as a beacon for anyone seeking a genuine spiritual connection. His life serves as a reminder that everything transforms when we get close to God. Are you taking care of this link, selected one? Are you tending to it like you would a holy flame? You don't require more titles. You don't require additional approval. You must be more visible. And holy quiet, not bustle, is where presence can be found. That peace you carry is promised in Isaiah 26:3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. It isn't based on evidence. Covenantal. It results from strolling side by side with the person who is always at your side. And others start to think it's doable because of you, that they are able to walk with God as well, that people are capable of living a life guided by wisdom, love, and a noble purpose. Your relationship with God is not ornamental. You are in charge of it. You don't have the secret. Your signature is on it. Hold it close then. Keep it safe. Remember that you are more than merely walking with God. You are bringing Him with you wherever you go. In a world that is dark, you are a lighthouse. You are evidence that a close relationship with heaven results in change on earth. You are not just picked. The source of all music light is one with you. Think carefully on the potent messages that have been made clear to you by your loneliness, your dreams, your unwavering sense of purpose, and the subtle ways that the universe is lining up with your every move, my dear souls. These indications are not coincidental. They serve as holy affirmations that you are among the most influential chosen people on the planet. They have molded your relationships, changed your decisions, broadened your soul, and evoked a knowing that can only be recalled rather than taught. There is a sacred light within of you that has been blazing long before you came into this existence. And now, when you boldly and firmly take a stand, know that you are a part of something far bigger, one that is shining through your life and serving as a lighthouse for a great number of others. You were never intended to just get by. You were made to lead, to enlighten, to awaken. You're not by yourself. God Himself has crafted you into a magnificent tapestry. Every realization you've had, every obstacle you've surmounted, and every vision you've been given have equipped you to not only grow spiritually, but also to help bring about humanity's awakening. This is no easy task. However, heaven knew you wouldn't shrink, so you were picked. You would get up. Therefore, without fear, offer your voice, your light, and your wisdom. Your ripple will reach coastlines you will never see, regardless of whether it reaches 1 million or 1 million. Just the way you are, the world needs you. I sincerely appreciate you accompanying me on this trip. Your presence here has purpose, whether you have been actively reflecting, listening in silence, or speaking your own truth. I respect you, and it has weight. You are more than welcome to use Super Thanks to give back if this message has been a blessing to you. Your contribution enables us to keep producing material that inspires and empowers people just like you all around the world. However, please know that my appreciation for you is unaffected by whether you donate or not. Your vitality, focus, and development are priceless gifts. This is the last blessing I will give you. May you be shielded by heavenly grace. May you experience a river-like increase in clarity. May you think in tranquility and let your purpose lead the way at every turn. May all of your buried seeds sprout when the time is right. And may you move forth with the knowledge that you are not simply picked. You are loved. You're protected. Someone has phoned you. Now, dear spirit, go forth with unwavering love, unending respect, and a heart that is forever linked to yours. Shine without apology, and may the light that is within you change the world. Thank you. May you be blessed. Remain selected. Remain strong.